The night John met Bigfoot. John had always been an outdoorsman. There was something about the deep hush of the forest, the crisp smell of pine, and the thrill of being alone with nature that kept him coming back weekend after weekend. One fall evening, John decided to go camping deep in the Cascade Mountains. He wanted to escape the noise of the city and spend a night under the stars. He set up his tent beside a small clearing surrounded by towering evergreens. As dusk settled in, he made a fire and cooked a simple dinner. The warmth of the flames and the crackling of burning wood felt comforting in the growing darkness. After dinner, John sat quietly, listening to the sounds of the forest, an owl hooting in the distance, the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. He took a sip of coffee from his thermos and leaned back against a log, closing his eyes. Suddenly, a branch snapped. John's eyes flew open. At first, he thought it might be a deer or maybe a bear, but the sound of heavy, deliberate footsteps soon followed. Whatever it was big, bigger than any animal he'd ever heard. His heart pounded as he grabbed his flashlight and pointed it toward the trees. The beam caught nothing at first, just endless darkness between the trunks. Then he heard a deep, low growl, so low it felt more like a vibration in his chest than a sound. John swallowed hard. "Hello?" he called out, his voice cracking. In that moment, something stepped into the edge of the clearing, a towering figure, covered in thick, dark hair. Its shoulders were massive, its arms nearly reaching its knees. Two glowing eyes stared at John from under a heavy brow. It was Bigfoot. The creature stood there silently, its breath forming thick clouds in the cold night air. For a moment, man and beast just stared at each other, both frozen. John felt every hair on his body stand on end. He could hear the thumping of his own heartbeat in his ears. Then, to John's amazement, Bigfoot let out a deep, rumbling sound, not quite a growl, but not quite human either. It sounded sad, almost. Slowly, the creature turned and began to walk back into the woods. John watched in awe as Bigfoot disappeared into the trees, each step making the ground tremble slightly. After a few moments, the forest fell silent again, as if nothing had happened. John sat there for what felt like hours, too stunned to move. When he finally found the courage to crawl into his tent, he barely slept, replaying the encounter over and over in his mind. The next morning, John stepped into the clearing to find massive footprints pressed deep into the soft earth. He measured one with his hand. It was easily twice the size of his boot. He never told many people about what he saw that night. Those who heard his story either laughed or nodded politely before changing the subject. But John knew the truth. Some nights, when the moon was high and the forest was still, he'd think back to that sad, rumbling sound Bigfoot made, and he'd wonder what it meant, and how close they had really come to understanding each other in that single, extraordinary moment.